With households all around the UK feeling the pain when it comes to sky-high energy prices, many have simply given up hope that they may ever come down. But an electrifying new government in Germany might pave the way for us to see significantly lower electricity prices. That's because the new German government has cleared the first hurdle for entering power, and it has a bold agenda, including a dramatic reform of its energy sector. So what exactly are these reforms, and do they present an opportunity for the UK to follow suit? Welcome to Dave Takes It On. Don't worry, Dave's not locked up in a basement without a key. He's just busy researching upcoming videos, so I'm helping out for a bit. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below how I'm doing. Back in February, Germans headed to the voting booths, and it was Friedrich Merz and his Christian Democratic Union Party that took the largest share of the vote. Unlike the UK, Germany uses a form of proportional representation called mixed member proportional representation, which combines elements of the UK's Westminster-style first past the post to elect the local MP, and proportional representation to determine the relative percentage of parties in the German parliament, the Bundestag. The result of this is that coalitions are typically required to form government. In this case, the Conservative Alliance and the Social Democrats account for around 45% of the vote, so short of an overall majority. That has meant that the government has had to turn to the Green Party to support its proposed €500 billion infrastructure fund, promising to dedicate €100 billion to climate policy spending. Whilst coalition negotiations are still underway, it is assumed that Merz will become Germany's next chancellor. One of the signature policies of the new government is a dramatic reform of its energy sector. It is seeking to modernise the electric grid, combined with an expansion of hydropower, geothermal energy and energy storage technologies. It will also be providing support for the decarbonisation of industry by promoting climate-neutral products, including steel. This is combined with a bold policy to lower electricity prices by at least 5 cents per kilowatt hour. It will also look to reduce the electricity tax to the minimum for the EU, which is 0.05 cents per kilowatt hour for companies, 0.1 cents per kilowatt hour for households. Further, it will halve grid transmission fees, and these are the sorts of savings that households will really notice. So that's all a big deal, right? Not so fast. All that is well and good, but Germany has typically had higher electricity prices. Figures for last year put their prices 12% above those of the UK. There's also long been concern that Germany's high electricity prices pose a threat to industry. So what does it matter if Germany is lowering prices when they're already higher than the UK? Well, what matters most here is the trajectory of prices. Despite the UK already having some of the highest electricity prices in the world, Ofgem is still increasing the price cap next month. That will mean an 8.7% increase in the unit price, though there will be a slight reduction in the standing fees. Germany made some big mistakes with its energy policy. It gambled on cheap gas from Russia, something that worked well until it didn't. The consequence of that mistake was that Germany had to pivot its entire energy sector to cope with the lack of cheap Russian energy. Obviously, that's something that can't be done overnight, but that's no consolation for customers putting up with eye-watering electricity bills. Understandably, German voters demanded action and political parties were forced into action. Like most Western countries, a lot of that dissatisfaction fueled the rise of far-right parties like the AfD. It promised a referendum of whether to abolish the euro. Feels a bit like Brexit all over again. But for the mainstream parties, the cost of living crisis was front and centre. The CDU-CSU alliance promised to cut taxes on low to middle income earners, exempt overtime pay for tax, cut corporation tax, lower electricity prices, and increase research into 4th and 5th generation nuclear technology. It is, of course, impossible to pin the result of an election on any one policy or event. But the reality is that political parties don't go around offering things that they don't need to. Clearly, Germans had had enough of obscene electricity prices and voted for big change. Sometimes it's fine to tinker around the edges. I mean, if it's not broken, then why fix it? But voters also have a keen sense of justice and don't like being taken for fools. Electricity prices weren't going anywhere. But in politics, if you apply enough pressure, then anything is possible. It's also a reminder that politicians serve the people. If policy doesn't benefit the people, there's only so much that they will take. It's also about credibility. Any party can promise the world, but they've got to have the capability to deliver behind it. All of this brings us back to the question first posed. Do these reforms present an opportunity for the UK to follow? Well, yes and no. Yes, because we actually saw a similar thing in the UK election last year. Labour, after all, promised to set up Great British Energy and announced as of the 21st of March, we're starting to see the first output from that. That's because Great British Energy is looking to put solar panels onto 200 schools and 200 hospitals, saving hundreds of millions of pounds on their energy bills. And those savings won't be wasted, with money being reinvested in education and the NHS to fix public services. After all, you may have noticed we do have a lot of crumbling schools and hospitals. Further money from GBE will also go to local authorities and community energy groups to the tune of around £12 million. But really, the answer is no. Great British Energy hasn't prevented the energy price cap from going up next month, and this is a long-term project. The UK government is promising to increase clean energy by 2030, and that's a far cry from the sense of urgency seen in Germany. And this comes back to the earlier point, which is that political parties don't offer costly policies if they don't need to. Labour was always set for a landslide in that election, and so it didn't have to offer bold policies. In fact, Labour is already talking about cutting investment in Great British Energy before it's even getting started. It's also having to defend offering a £500,000 salary to run the company at a time when it's cutting benefits for those with disabilities. What's the lesson here? Well, one, investing in the grid and energy production can't be overlooked. Sure, when everything is going well, the government isn't going to be getting any thanks, but when it goes wrong, it will certainly get the blame. Two, energy security is not just a sensible policy from a security perspective, but also domestically. If the UK can produce its own electricity rather than relying on global energy markets for fossil fuels, it can avoid or minimise the impact of global events like the conflict in Ukraine. Number three, substantive policy change is possible, but only when there is the political pressure to do so. I'd add in four, which is that maybe it's not a sensible idea to privatise the national grid and have it owned by large US investment funds with questionable track records seeking to extract maximum profit, no matter the cost, but that's really a story for another time. So what can you do? Well, keep up the pressure. Germany has shown that prices can come down, and in a big way, but no political party is going to do it because it's the right thing to do. They'll only do it because it's the necessary thing to do. Make your voice heard. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give us a like and subscribe for more videos. And if you would like to hear more about what the UK can do to improve electricity prices, be sure to check out our recent video where we explored how the UK can actually reduce prices by 75% overnight. I'm Jonas. Thanks for watching.